Psalm 118 reads like a song of ascents, though it doesn't include that heading. It appears to be a liturgical set piece, by which I mean it includes litanies, those sorts of back and forth things that we say in worship, like our call to worship. But there is one line in the psalm that we continue to use today, which is probably the second most used verse to begin worship. It says, "This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it." Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas, and this is your daily devotional for Wednesday, February 9th, 2022. Many of the things that we say in worship to introduce sections of worship are direct quotes or paraphrases from the Bible. Opening worship is no different. In our church, we ordinarily use the psalm for the day as our call to worship, but we don't just start with those words. Our pattern is to say either, "Our help is in the name of the Lord who made heaven and earth," or "This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it." And then we follow that with the instruction, "Let us stand together and join in the call to worship." The words, "This is the day that the Lord has made," come from Psalm 118, verse 24, near the end of the psalm. But the psalm begins, "Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His steadfast love endures forever. Let Israel say, his steadfast love endures forever. Let the house of Aaron say, his steadfast love endures forever. Let those who fear the Lord say, his steadfast love endures forever." So the whole framework of the psalm is liturgical. You can hear the call and response pattern, the responsive framework in the back and forth between the leader who says, "Let Israel," or the house of Aaron, or those who fear the Lord, say, followed by the response, "His steadfast love endures forever." The first major section of the psalm reflects on the fact that in times of trouble or distress or peril, God has intervened to help Israel. Then there's a brief section of praise for God's acts of salvation. Next comes a part that begins, "Open to me the gates of righteousness, that I may enter through them and give thanks to the Lord. This is the gate of the Lord. The righteous shall enter through it." Again, you can hear the call and response, this time between the worshiper calling for the gates to be opened, answered by the leader who replies with a statement about the gate and who can enter it. With that, we come to the portion of the psalm from which our verse is taken. It reads, "I thank you that you have answered me and have become my salvation. The stone that the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone. This is the Lord's doing. It is marvelous in our eyes. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Save us, we beseech you, O Lord. O Lord, we beseech you, give us success." You surely noticed that this section includes that verse that we commonly use to describe the sacrifice of Jesus Christ. The stone that the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone. It sounds like there are unrelated ideas sort of jammed together here until you put the whole thing together. This is a psalm about God's merciful acts in rescuing Israel from destruction at that very moment when destruction seemed all but certain. The fact that God has rescued Israel in its distress is seen as being every bit as surprising as a stone that has been rejected by builders but then becoming the chief cornerstone. It is a comparison meant to highlight just how surprising a turnaround is God's act of salvation, which leads the worshiper to say, "This is the day that the Lord has made." The day of salvation, the day of rescue, is the day that the Lord has made. Rejoicing is the only logical response. All of which makes the verse a natural to begin worship with. It's not just that Sunday is the Lord's day. It is that we come to celebrate the day of salvation, which for us is Resurrection Day. And in our tradition, every Sunday is a little Easter Sunday. Every Sunday is Resurrection Day. And the resurrection of Jesus Christ and his victory over death is as surprising and unexpected as a rejected stone becoming a cornerstone. So remember this context the next time you hear worship begin with these words, "This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it." And now may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.